Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Monday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and yes, it really did happen. The Mets won 2 games in a row, and they scored 5 runs in both of those games. Not total, both. So that's a total of 10 runs in 2 games, scored by the same New York Mets team that couldn't score more than a run for over 2 weeks. What is happening in Metsville? I don't know, but I'm not going to be complaining about it anytime soon. It's nice to see the Mets put up some runs. It's nice to see the Mets get some wins. And I have an idea about where things might be going with the 2018 Mets. The heroes of the last 2 games offensively have been yesterday Brandon Nimmo and the day before Michael Conforto. And I was reading about Conforto tweaking his swing, making a few adjustments and whatnot, and whatever he did, man, I hope it's permanent, because he hit a couple of balls to the opposite field gap that looked like vintage Conforto hits, if there is such a thing for a kid who's not even 25 yet. But he looked like the old guy who was able to hit to all fields. That's what Michael needs to be able to do to sustain success, and I really hope that he found that. Wherever he found it, I hope he found it and he's able to stick with it. Nimmo has just been an absolute delight. He probably will not make the All-Star team, but deserves to make the All-Star team because of how well he's played. Really, both sides of the ball, but just the energy that he has and the enthusiasm he has is infectious. We see it as fans. I can only imagine that his teammates see it and feel it as well. So those are the 2 big offensive stars. But the real hat tip needs to go to the Mets pitching staff, which, despite the offensive woes, never faltered. Really, never faltered at all. Matz and Wheeler both this past weekend were pitched really well. Lugo didn't pitch so great, but he wasn't terrible. Everyone's entitled to a stinker every now and then. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings pitched. Not great, but it's an outlier for his season so far, which has been brilliant. But the Mets pitching staff has deserved much better, and this is where I'm kind of leaning toward a new epiphany that I had. I've been watching a lot of Moneyball, the movie, after pretty much every game, because when I'm depressed, I like to watch that movie, and every Mets game pretty much makes me depressed. So I've been watching a lot of Moneyball, and there are some parts in that movie that I'm kind of relating to the 2018 Mets team, and the one that I keep thinking of was in the middle of the A's win streak, this unprecedented win streak, when some background commentator was talking about how, remember when the A's traded Jeremy Giambi and all these other guys, Carlos Pena and all these other guys, and sent these other guys down and whatever, and we all thought that they were packing it in for the season. It wasn't the case, and instead they retooled and actually played better without those guys than with them. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I really do feel like a shakeup is necessary here on this team. And I think it's a minor shakeup. I don't think it's going to be anything big. And it may have started with the promotion of Dominic Smith. Now, I don't know that Dom is going to do anything special. He hit a home run on Friday night, or maybe it was Saturday. I think it was Friday, but he hit a home run on Friday night. His defense is good, despite the play he made yesterday, or the non-play he made yesterday, which was not overturned, but probably should have been. I do think that Smith did catch the ball, but man, oh man, you, as a rookie, as any player, you can't do what he did, and as a rookie, it makes it even worse. So, but anyhow, I think Dom Smith could be the first minor shakeup that the team needed. And I think there's more coming. And I think there's going to be an injection when Yoenis Cespedes comes off the disabled list, whenever that might happen. So I'm thinking that the Mets might be on pace for another big run, where they might win 11 out of 12 again, which would be great. Interestingly, there was a stat about the 11-1, or I read something about the 11-1 start. Not a stat, but I was reading something about it. And so the Mets had gone 11-1 to start the season, as we all know. Then the last couple of games, or a couple of weeks, they were 1-11. So those two stretches sort of negate each other, and it was why it's equal parts sad but also relieving that the Mets started as well as they did, because they were able to withstand the complete doldrum that they went through. But the more telling part is those middle games where they went 16-25. Now that's 9 games under 500. The Mets are 8 games under 500 right now on the season. But the point is, the team is capable of a stretch where they win 11 out of 12 games. It's the same personnel that did that at the beginning of the year. And by the way, their starting pitching is way better now than it was then. So I've said this before, I'm going to stick with it. I'm not ready to give up on this team yet. Call me crazy, I probably am. But I'm not ready to give up on the team yet. So I think that there's a Moneyball-like run in them. I don't know if they're going to win 20 in a row, but I think there's a Moneyball-like run in this team where a few more small tweaks will be made to the roster, and something's going to gel, and they're going to start winning some ball games. And the months of May and the first half of June are going to be a distant memory. And we're going to look back and say, man, I can't believe this team played that badly. At least that's my thought. We'll see how right I am. Time will certainly tell. So until the next time we talk, it will be tomorrow, because the Mets, after splitting the 4-game set in Arizona, which last week I incorrectly said was going to be Colorado first. The Mets obviously were in Arizona for the weekend, but now they're off to Colorado. Another 4-game set, this time with the Rockies, starting tonight at 8:40. So again, I'll be back tomorrow to recap that game and talk about the rest of the week. So until then, I thank you for watching, as I always do. It's always appreciated. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.